Coming to you from the Greek Scammer Lab, I am here to expose Nik Kalyani and the Vitruveo scam. Stay tuned. It's been a long time no see for the Greek. I'm sorry about my voice. I've been sick. I have my voice back and I'm about to use it. Now, I have been a part of this community all the way back to the Seifu days when I used to do videos and everything. Now, to expose Nik and what he is doing with Vitruveo, you have to go back to when it all began. Let's put it this way. If the Titanic is headed towards the iceberg, the times when things were in the red were before it hit that iceberg. Right now, it's hit the iceberg. Nik has jumped ship. He's with the women and children on the lifeboats. While you are out there fending for yourselves, and Nik Kalyani, nowhere to be found. That is a classic scammer move, I will tell you. That is a very, 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 very classic scammer move. So, to start your journey, Adrian was brought in to do some work for Nik, advertising work and all that. Brian wanted to build a blockchain. He was looking for blockchain developers since he didn't know any. Well, Adrian said, I know Nik Kalyani. He's done some work for me. Let's bring him on. And that's how their relationship started. Okay. Then they created the four co-founders, which was Nik, not Nik. It was Adrian, Damien, Jason, and Brian. We all know that nothing has changed. What has transpired here is Nik had had a previous relationship with his ePlays, MBL, Nifty Dreams with Adrian and Damien. So you have two co-founders who have a relationship with Nik. We will go further into that later on in the video. Okay? Now, the first thing that really set red flags off, and I was told this from day one, was 500 nodes do not need to be a part of this type of blockchain that he's doing. Why are there so many nodes? Is this just a Brian Legend thing of wanting 500 nodes? The thing is, any blockchain developer would have stepped in and said, 500 nodes is not feasible. You only need like 10. Nik Kalyani didn't do that. So right away, the alarm bells were going off in the BroodFi community because they're like, does this man even know what he's doing with a blockchain? Now that will lead us to further things, but that's just the first area where, like, now that I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, why did they need 500 nodes? I know Brian wanted more, and he obviously ran it by Nik. And Nik, I don't know. Nik never stopped it. So that's the first thing that you have to look at in all of this. Okay? Now, Nik was brought on to build the blockchain. He was paid $1.4 million for the blockchain development. And I know you're going to say, but Greek, I heard 2.4. You are correct. He was paid $933,000, of which went to Decentology for the hackathon, for DApp Start, $92,000 more for DApp Starter. But where is that? We don't know. Okay, $92,000 for DApp Starter and all the hackathon stuff, and then building modules for the blockchain so people and developers can come in and use. Now, you may wonder how many modules were built. Oh, I can count them on one hand. 4. 4 modules were built for a price tag of $933,000. Now, there is clips I have that you will see of all this, and you'll be like, that is fishy from the start. Now, what I think happened was Nik realized, because of Brian's past, that he could get an easy score. While he didn't know the blockchain, how to build it, he could hire devs and like kind of contract the work out, which is exactly what he did, and that's how you get Prabhu. Now, Prabhu was just a paid dev, so nothing against Prabhu in this video. As we understand, the Hyperverse was full of issues. You went in that Discord, nobody would get back to you. It was very hard to use. You couldn't figure anything out. Nobody would help you. Nothing came of that. It was just pathetic. It truly was pathetic. And I have a clip right now that I'm going to play for you really quick because it really shows Brian Legend. This is after he quit, but they were talking about the Hyperverse and money spent on the Hyperverse. So here is that clip.
Yeah, look, honestly, we all feel that we're being shortchanged like a lot. And as I was saying, I don't see any more value than 100K, probably less than that. But if I rounded up 100K worth of deliverables, that's what I see. So where's the extra 700, 800 odd thousand, whatever it is? Like it's owed. You can't just play it off that you've done a few workshops here and there and go, we've delivered most of it. Like, come on.
Algorand paid $600,000 to be on there for the 1 year. Flow paid. Basically, people have paid a lot of money to be on there.
I could care less what they paid. It's about what we see that's being delivered. You've done nothing with the Discord. There was no interaction. You've had multiple developers that were trying to call out to you at that time when you were saying there was no interest. Now we couldn't get interest. Well, you need to accept responsibility that Revo or whatever and yourself, there was no control of that Discord. It was all spam and bullshit. There was no interactions. You didn't record anything. Like, it's just crap. And then Caitlin had to take it all over and try to contact all the devs directly and have all these discussions. So most of the work that we paid you for, literally Caitlin's been doing. That's where we're at on this. Do you not agree or what?
I agree on the Discord part because Discord is not our strength. But in terms of you also have to agree that the part that seems seamless and effortless actually requires engineering effort. So we literally modified DAppStarter significantly. We added because we had to add modules around the rebasing, etc. We did that. We did the workshops. Those require time to plan, to set up, and to have the code for it. So yeah.
And how much is that worth?
You cannot devalue that.
What value do you put to that of what you've delivered?
Yeah. So what I would say is that I would add another 200K of developer services that would enhance DAppStarter and add more modules to it. That is what I think is a reasonable settlement on that.
So you're saying you've delivered 600K worth of product?
Not product and services.
600K.
Yeah.
You're honestly sitting there, right? I just want.
Well, what value do you put on his IP and his name and using that, Brian? Have you got a figure in mind?
Don't forget we paid $92,000 for DAppStarter too.
Yeah, exactly. I said 100K worth. Even if you want to double it to 200K, but it's not worth anywhere close to 600. You're never going to be able to sell me on that, man. So we need I don't know.
200K is
nah, no way.
Then
no. So look, whatever number we settle on, and there's no way you're going to be able to sell me on 200K here. But even if it was, then where's that 200K coming from? Is that coming from you? And where's that being put towards? Is that a direct refund or what?
No, as I said, I would pay a developer to write modules because DAppStarter is extensible. So we would write a bunch of NFT-related modules that are applicable to our scenario here. And so continually, DAppStarter would be upgraded and have those modules in there.
How many modules?
Instead of how many, it should be what type and what scope they do, because it's not the number that matters, it's what they do.
Yeah, it's not the number that matters, it's what they do. And there's a lot of technical work. But like I said earlier, only 4 modules were built, and According to Nick, he valued that at $600,000. Brian was pushing back because they paid $933,000 for this, as well as $92,000 for DAppStarter. But when you look at it, later on in the video, I will post the full links to all these videos down below so you can see the whole transpirings of everything. He basically said he was going to do 20 more modules to make it fair, and that would be like $200,000 more of work. Well, he was valuing each module at $10,000. So that means he did $40,000 of work and got paid $933,000. Now you're starting to see a pattern. This is regardless of what you think Brian did, regardless of what you think anybody did, this is what Nick was doing, getting extra money, and there was a pattern here. Now, where this gets fishy is the team, and after the new year, so do you know how we sacrificed in November and you had all those delays? It was delay after delay after delay. Brian said, oh no, we're releasing January. Then it's, oh, we're releasing March. And then, oh, there's another delay. The reason the delays kept happening is because Nick could never produce anything. And he kept making excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. Now, the main excuse was, well, you never gave me the parameters. And that's a very techie way of saying, hey, it's on you. You never gave me the parameters. How can I work under these conditions? But the truth of the matter is, it was pretty obvious. You wanted a blockchain with a DEX, with a bridge, with everything, and you wanted to rebase. Seems pretty straightforward to me. You understand that if you're building a DEX, it's going to have a wrapped coin because you have a rebasing. You can't have a DEX without. So what's the parameters you're talking about here? But then the fishy stuff starts happening when Brian quit and then things come to light. Okay? Now, this is stuff that I'm going to reveal that I was told at the time when I was on the multi-sig with Vitruveo, because they needed a YouTube, they wanted somebody in the community to be on the multi-sig to get it started. One thing that was told to me was all this stuff that I heard in these meetings just now, but I could never verify it. I just thought, okay, what's going on? I was told Nacho was brought in to audit Nick because he couldn't produce code or provide his code to anybody. Nothing. There was nothing. They didn't even know what he was building, and they just wanted to make sure something was built, as they paid $1.4 million for it. Regardless of what you think, the bills always got paid to Nick. Nick always got his money. When it came time for payday, he always got his money. And when he needed stuff, and I heard through the grapevine that in meetings, it would always be Damien and Adrian pushing Nick to, like, if they needed an extension or more money, just pay it. He'll deliver it. He'll deliver it. Well, it was made aware to me that Nick would get these payments and then give kickbacks to Adrian, who then funneled it to Damien. Now, here is a video of Brian asking Nick about that, so you can hear it in his own words.
I'll ask you a question here, and I don't want Adrian to chime in here. It's just going to be a very blunt question, and I expect the true answer here, Nick, when I'm about to ask. How much of what we paid to you was then paid as either commission or kickback or incentive, or whatever you want to call it, bonus to Adrian? How much of that was paid?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, because you use the terms kickback, commission, etc. Those are not it. But I did, in fact, have a business arrangement with them where we are collaborating on a project, and I owe the licensing IP share on that, and so
Okay.
I paid that.
Well, let's just change the terminology a little bit then.
Yeah.
So out of the 1.45 that you've just said that we've paid, you're saying that yes, you have taken a portion of that amount which you owed to other business ventures, including Intention or ePlace, right?
Yes, as is my right as a business owner.
That's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I just want to know the facts here.
Yep.
So again, without Adrian chiming in,
yep,
tell me what that number was.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can look it up and give it to you.
You're able to. You're happy to give that to me.
Yeah.
Of what that number was. Can you
Yeah, but,
ballpark?
again,
Can you ballpark
again,
it for us?
it's my business
I know.
dealings.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I just
Yeah.
want to know the facts here. We're all trying to just get the truth out. That's what this conversation
Sure.
is about. So can
Yeah.
you ballpark it for me? If it's 50K, if it's 200K, just ballpark. Just ballpark it.
I have to think about it. I'm sorry, because it was varied amounts.
Well, I can help you. I can
whole-
help you. You paid $140,540 to Adrian when we paid the initial $580-something thousand payment for the initial blockchain build. $586,000 payment. So that was one portion of that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's on chain, right? Like, you can look it up. I will go look it up, but like I said, it's
So-
business. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right. So what are you saying that 140 payment was for specifically?
it's RMG for the NBL. Basically, it's the chains project.
So it's the Chains project. Which Chains project? And this is the thing. Whether he's telling the truth or not, it certainly looks fishy. And the reason I say it looks fishy is because you have two co-founders who have a relationship with the dev and he's giving them money. So isn't it in their best interest to keep him moving and getting paid because it benefits them? So now we have a whole conundrum of things here. On top of this, Nik, you could just see it in his voice. There is this like, well, I don't remember. Well, it's for this. Well, it's for that. I'm not a dummy, and I don't think you guys are. But this does not look good. And this was all happening before. And this is why they wanted to bring in an audit, because they noticed this stuff. They brought in Nacho for the audit, as I was saying. And Nik was using funds. So it's kind of like he's getting paid from Peter, working on Paul's projects, then doing all kinds of stuff. So money he was getting for Vulcan development, he was working, paying devs to run Nifty Dreams. Now, nobody could tell Nik how to run his business. That is on him. That is on him. As long as things are being delivered for the payments that are being received. But when things aren't being delivered, then you got a lot of questions, and that is where Nacho was coming into audit. There's all these questions, and it's just sickening when you watch all this stuff, because it really gives you this like eye-opening, like, okay, was Nik just trying to prolong this and keep getting as much money as he could prior to this? And then why did it become beneficial to him after Brian quit to then take over? Because that's what happened. It was kind of like, oh, I'm going to take over. Now, on top of all this, I was getting word when Nik took over that he still was owing money to devs. Now, I could never verify this as I had no contacts with his devs. But people inside were telling me he was months behind on paying his devs, even though he had received $1.4 million to build this revolutionary blockchain. Okay, and I'm going to use the term revolutionary because we're going to talk about how revolutionary it's not. But he was owing people money. And you're saying, Greek, no way, no way. Now, the video I'm about to play you is after Brian quit. So 1.4 million had already been paid at this point for the blockchain, as well as 933,000 to Decentrology, as well as 92,000 for DAppStarter. Now listen to this when Prabhu is still owed roughly $100,000.
Voiced you for. Can you tell me on record then how much of that have you paid to Prabhu?
I don't know off the top of my head, but whatever is needed to be paid has been paid.
But have you paid for it all? Have you paid half? I mean, what's...
No, the only outstanding amount is last month's bill. And literally, if Jason had gone ahead and paid the August retainer, we would be caught up.
So again, I just want to be really
you say
clear.
retainer, Nick, but it's milestone 4 that we're talking about. It's not a retainer. Milestone 4 was for achieving specific tasks.
Jason, that's previous to our conversation. When you and Damien and Adrian and I had a meeting and we reached the thing, I'm just quoting what we agreed to. We agreed to July, August, September, a retainer. I'm just stating that. So all I'm saying is that if the August amount due were paid, Prabhu would be caught up, and the dev team would be caught up. That's it. Fully caught up.
So again, just give me a rough estimation then, at least. That off
it's less than 100K.
Right. So okay. So off the
and Prabhu's right here. You can ask him.
That's what I was going to do. Ask Prabhu.
Ask Prabhu. It's less than 100K, and he'll be fully caught up.
Prabhu, you said 100. Is it 100 or not?
Sorry, which one you're talking about? I was working on the other things here. Sorry.
So what's the final tally that Nick owes you? Before it was 500, then I called you, it was 100. What is it now?
Okay, exactly 105,000, 105,000 decentology money.
That's not
said.
Is that sorry, Nick? Is that inclusive of just Vulcan, or is that inclusive of decentology and all that
We're
sort
talking
of
about
stuff?
blockchain right now. That's it.
Yeah, because my
you know what?
understanding.
You know what I found? You know what I find really bizarre here, and why I call bullshit on this whole fucking thing, is because before you entered into this chat, Nick, Prabhu, I've asked him several times, and I reworded it in different ways. And I asked Prabhu, what was it quoted? What was the the revised quote? How much of that was paid? He couldn't tell me how much was paid. I asked several times, how much has been paid? He goes, I can't give you that answer.
Because
now, but now he's literally saying $105,000 is owed. So Prabhu, are you saying
the last payment? That's it.
Okay, let's recode what I quoted. I said, like, I cannot give you a figure of how much dev cost was made because my dev cost was not only Vulcan. My dev cost includes NBL, it includes Nifty Dreams, it includes TapStarter. So I said, like, I cannot give you a number because I don't know.
It doesn't matter. What you've literally just said, that you owed $105,000, which
that is the decentology. That is the decentology money which Nick owes me personally. That is part of my salaries, which he didn't pay yet. So again, I told very clearly, if you have any confusion, let's talk. I'm here.
But
what was Brian, we're talking about current accounts payable right now. Current accounts payable is $100,000. That's it. That's it.
Brian, I gave you a number of 100,000, and I also told you clearly that it's decentology. And you asked me to give a number of how much was development cost and how much used only for Vulcan. I said, like, I don't even know how much because Nick never split and gave me the money.
What I'm trying to get to here, okay, is that if you're telling me that only $105,000 is owed and that's it, and then the whole thing's paid for, is that what you're telling me, both of you guys?
Yes.
From my personal expenses, 105K was left, which Nick has to pay me. And the remaining payments for me was paid. That is my personal wages I'm talking about.
So the $270,000 that you're asking for, which is in 2 payments, break that down for me, how 270 makes sense into the 100 that's now owed.
Because we are going to incur more development costs now. And so the next month, those have to be paid.
Sorry, I'll help you out, Nick. So some of that development costs, right, was maintenance, yeah? So there's maintenance costs, but you also said that, like, when you aqua hire, that there's going to be in-house costs. Basically, we're just kind of asking for a break. We did this in the last meeting when we spoke before.
Yeah.
We just kind of want a breakdown of where that money would be spent. Like, if I transfer that money now, you're going to go, right, this is going to go to Prabhu, and Prabhu's going to work on this, this, and this. Right?
Yep.
That's all we want to know. That's it.
Yeah. So there's the new plan. If you're going by the new plan, we have to develop the OG NFT. We have to create the new rebasing protocol. We have to create the booster dApp. We have to do all of those things. That's all development that has to be done. If you're the numbers that we're talking about here are based upon the new plan, not the old plan. So all these things have to be developed. That's what the money is going for. How would these new changes be paid for?
Now, this is at a time where Brian quit, okay? And there's only 900,000 left in the multi-sig. And he wants 270,000 more. But he still owes his developers from past work. So he wants to take it out of the community. Now, this is very eye-opening to me because the liquidity is the lifeblood of a blockchain and of a project. And he's just, oh, it's only 100,000. Oh, it's only this. Seriously? Seriously, only 100,000. Okay. Now, this is a big deal that he owed Prabhu money because it shows that people were telling me the truth. He did owe devs money. You can tell in there how much of this is for this and how much of this is for other stuff. So that shows that he was using funds just and having his devs work on multiple things, multiple projects at the same time. Okay, that's why deadlines were constantly missed, especially if devs aren't getting paid. Hey, I'm a dev. I'm not going to work if I'm not getting paid. You can't blame Prabhu. Okay, this is just sickening. It just shows everything going forward. And this is all before Nik even took over Vitruveo. So, on top of that, he basically was holding the blockchain hostage with conversations he had with everybody, with Jason, with Bixbyte. And one thing I got is he wanted those payments 135 and 135 because of new costs, everything, just whatever, 270K. It's no big deal. We're going to have a booster sale. We'll get the community to pay more money. I remember that conversation in one of these videos, which is really sickening. You had a community who's just been through the ringer. You have $1 million. You're supposed to have a ready-made blockchain for 1.4. It should have been ready to go, okay? If you had a state-of-the-art blockchain, you could have just fixed it up and had it ready to go. The fact is nothing was really done. So I don't know how much longer things could have been going on before. But I digress, okay? Because now we're going to look at more issues with the liquidity. Because as this is going on, Nik says a bunch of things like he can't work with Jason. And I always thought that it was Jason and Brian who asked for a payout to leave. Little did I know that Jason wanted to stay on and work behind the scenes on the blockchain. He didn't even care if he got credit or anything. He just wanted tokens. And Nik was the one who pushed the payout. So here's that.
That means we would proceed with the original plan, but then Jason, as Adrian was saying, it's going to be hard for us to work. What arrangement can we make in terms of a payout or something for you in addition to the token allocation?
Fuck, do I get that?
What are you asking? I don't understand the question.
I'm basically asking, like, in order for us to work together after the events of the past few days, we know we're not going to be able to collaborate very well. We know that, right? So if we're going to continue with my plan, I'm saying, Jason, what would it take in terms of a monetary amount for you to essentially step back?
Why would you want Jason to step back anyway?
Because we can't work together. I don't see us working together very well after what's happened in the past few days. This is exactly what Adrian said.
I'm astounded by the question, but anyway, Jace, I don't know. I'll let you answer it the way you want.
I mean, I disagree. I thought I could provided that we're all on the same page, I just call out crap as I see it. I'm not going to apologize for that. I can publicly let it know that there was a misunderstanding and that we've gone our right ways. And I can say, for example, if I'm working with Caitlin and controlling Caitlin under a governance and making sure that from a business aspect, which I have experience with, that and under looking after a DAO, which is very important, hugely important, then I can, work under that.
That's not an option, Jay. At the end of the day,
Well,
it's no option, right? I'm saying for me it definitely is, but you're saying no, which is okay. We just got to keep clarifying these questions.
So as you could see there, he wants to take already a liquidity that was probably a third, who knows, maybe a fourth. We never know what was happening because money was being all over. So like we don't know how much was in the money Brian controlled originally, but you're taking, it was 900,000. You want to lower it by paying a dev that you owe past payments to, and now you want to make a payout. This is just, to me, very interesting. And as we understand, the payout does end up happening. So he gives up half. So it's $450,000, I believe, was in the multi-sig when I was first on it. And then out of that, the first thing was signed 150K because we have to pay for the dev or this blockchain's not getting built. Now, everybody is okay with this because they want a blockchain. They think, okay, he's our savior. He's going to come in to save you. I was getting warned on the side by my sources saying, this is going on. And I'm like, come on, this can't happen. You can't have what we just went through and then have this going on too. Come on, something's got to give here. But nobody at that time would have listened. I heard it and I wanted to see for myself. I was very hesitant about Vitruvio's success from the start. I'm not going to lie. I sold OTC. I sold my node. I was on the multi-sig. I didn't sign many things because Nick never gave a breakdown of what the costs were. And that was the first red flag for me. And I said that in the Brood Discord. And I was subsequently banned from the Vitruvio Discord, saying I'm a fudder and a hater. But I'm not here to like put this in anybody's face, but this was all going on. And liquidity is the lifeblood. Now, there's another conversation on Brian and Jason questioning Nick about why he did this aqua hire for Decentology and how that benefits Vitruvio. So we're going to hear that aqua hire story right here.
Can you walk me through why the aqua hire was even there in the first place? Why you chose to go that route?
Because
what benefit are the community getting? I don't understand it.
They are essentially like I was told to lead this thing. So I'm basically the plan was to step up from being a contractor to actually leading this project and having the vision, creating a business plan, getting partnerships, all of that basically. So
can you at least admit that this was in your self-interest to go that route then with the aqua hire? Does it not benefit you directly more than anyone?
I wouldn't agree with that statement in its entirety. No, it benefits me a little bit, but not in its like I'm not doing it. I'm fine to.
Well, who's the main benefactor?
If you don't do that, here's what happens. I can't take on this role, the role that was asked of me to be taken on. I can't do that. So that's basically it is. It's pretty black and white there.
I just want to know who the main benefactor of it is, and if you would agree that would be yourself or not. And by the
main benefactor is the community, because then this blockchain gets built and this business moves forward. Because until I stepped up with a plan, there's nothing. No one has a credible plan.
So for the community to vote correctly into the decision that they've already voted to go your way, and the only reason is because they didn't have another opportunity or elsewhere to go, it was literally your way or there was no other way, right, at the time.
Yeah.
So in your initial proposal, wouldn't it have made sense to be as transparent as possible? And
I was. Entire slides devoted to it.
Yeah, but I'm saying about the aqua hire specifically to say, okay, well, here's the actual business financials, exactly like full page financials of here's the P&L statement, like literally everything.
No,
for them to make an actual decision on.
Because again, that is all unnecessary because you're not acquiring the business. You're acquiring. It's an acquihire. An acquihire means you acquire the people, not the business.
So what exactly is acquiring? Tell me.
Me, full-time. Prabhu, nearly full-time. The entire source code of DAppStarter, the application, and we would remove all the other blockchains from it.
Well,
The entire
that's the point I wanted to get to, that DAppStarter thing.
yeah.
Have
the
we,
entire,
have we or not though paid $92,000 for DAppStarter?
yeah.
For what have we received?
You paid not for the source code for it. You paid not for the right to own the IP of
What-
it. You paid to be on there, to be integrated on there, and to have Vulkan as a choice on there, along with other protocols as one of the supported blockchains. So we did.
So what are they acquiring? They acquired Master Nik. But do you see the hardball ways he goes about it? And, I took some notes while I was watching that clip. Basically, do it or else you get nothing. I won't deliver the blockchain. And is it in his self-interest? Well, you have to ask. Acquiring that decentrology allows him to go with the next part, the next vid that I will play in just a second. And you will see it definitely was in his best interest. And when I say paying off past debts, if you owe somebody something and you use this thing to pay off that is essentially paying off past debts. Okay? And when they're talking about that vote, I don't know if you guys remember the time frame. After Brian quit, they held a community vote. And basically, it was Nik coming in saying, if you want me to lead the blockchain, say yes, but if you guys choose to go another way, I'm out. So it was basically, oh, you want a blockchain or nothing? And of course, the community's going to vote a certain way. Okay? You have to understand the time frame. Nik knew it perfectly and played it perfectly smart how to get control of this blockchain. And you can see it does benefit him a lot. It benefits him. Do it or else you get Master Nik. And I want you guys, when you watch these videos, because in behavioral stuff, in psychological terms, when you see a stutter when you're answering a question where you're trying, that means you're trying to come up with something. It means you're not confident in your answer and you're trying to change the narrative on the spot. And that's usually why there's a stutter. That stutter is very deceitful and you hear it in every single video. But the next video that I promised you guys is the one where we talk about the TGE event and how he owed his Decentrology investors a token-gated event. So let's play that video.
Just be honest here. Have you got any commitments outside of this towards any other investors that haven't been paid, that are part of like Decentrology?
That haven't been paid. What do you mean?
Haven't been paid or owed money? Is there anyone?
No. Investors,
tokens.
all investors in Decentrology signed a document called the SAFT, Simple Agreement for Future Token. They are owed a TGE event, a token generation event at some point. That is it.
When
the
is
only
that,
monies
when is
owed
that
are to Prabhu, which is a private understanding between us.
When is that? When is that point? You said some point. Is that October?
That's the last update I sent to the investors. I said that we would try and do this in October or thereabouts, but it isn't a firm date. I said
so
around that
time. So what I want you guys to, if you want to scroll back and rewatch that clip, he answers a question with a question. What do you mean? Do you have any outside debts? It's a direct question. Yes or no. Not what do you mean? The what do you mean is giving him time. It's a stall tactic. And then when he does answer, you can see he's got directed anger speech and he's outwardly projecting that, which is showing that, hey, I'm angry at this. Oh my God. Why? And yes, you did owe a token gated event to your Decentrology event investors. So you did an aqua hire, bring you on, blah, blah, blah. And now magically you promised them October. When did Vitruveo come out, guys? Around that time frame. And what are they really getting? You say the people. They're getting the people. What people? You're giving people tokens to help them out, which is further adding it to this liquidity crunch, you see? So you got a lot of mismanagement here, okay? A lot of ways that are benefiting you right now at this point, and it keeps on benefiting you. It always benefits you. It's just sickening. It's sickening when you see it. You know, he wanted to charge $475K for a DEX. He didn't even know what a DEX was. They had to have an argument about what is a DEX, what constitutes your definition of a DEX. It's a decentralized exchange. And it took a community member building it. Nick, did you pay that community member $475K for the DEX that got built on your blockchain? So this leads me to now what Nik did after he was in control of Vitruveo. Because when you see the past and see how things come alight, you could see what happens. When it's all said and done, he uses all the money that was in that multisig after the payouts, everything. He basically drew that to 50K before I had enough. I wasn't signing anything on the multisig, but I had enough at that point. That's when I got out. But he basically then has the booster sales promising, oh, we're going to do all this stuff. We're going to bring in the artists. He had all those AMAs where he brought on the team members, paying them salaries. You know, everybody's getting paid salaries. They raised, I'm going to put it on the screen here because I believe it was 1.56 million from booster sales. That's amazing. That's amazing. The community stepped up like they always do. And the sickening part is, where did the money go? I mean, we had a blockchain where 150K a month at some points was being paid on dev costs, on this, and nothing's itemized. So, Nick, if you want to say, oh, but it's all going somewhere. Yeah, I can't prove that you directly took the money and put it in your pocket. But you can funnel it in ways that are like, oh, I owe this person money, bring them on as a team member, bring them on here, spend this money, charge this money. Nothing's broken down. I want to know how much of salaries was paid, how much was paid for your server costs. I want to know how much you were charging a month in upkeep, which you claim is $5,000 a month in upkeep. I want to know all that. And the community deserves to do that, to know that. You have not answered any questions. Okay? And after takeover, he brought in all the artists, you know, and geared towards them. Now, Nik in the art community was kind of like that person who would find starving artists and like to be looked up to. So I think this was his way of, hey, let me bring in the artists and repay. Now, we barely have any liquidity, and he throws credits in for, so buy art. So then he comes out with Zybit, and you guys all buy the art. And the artists need to get paid. Okay, the artist's dream is not in Vitruveo. Some of them did. Some of them kept onto the Vitruveo and staked it. But most cashed out, which further killed liquidity, which is the lifeblood, like I keep saying. Every decision here is benefited not towards the people investing, but towards groups that Nik's been affiliated with. Do you see where I'm going here? But this is the sickening part of the whole thing, and this is where I really started getting pissed off behind the scenes. At this point, I'm banned. I'm like, you know what? I've told people that things are looking shady here. It's when money was running low, you see, oh, now we're going to add verse. Now we're going to add a movie vertical. Now we're going to add a gaming vertical. All this money's coming in. You got the Zybit. Then you got Sabong. Sabong earn. So you got earn, verse. Boom. This blockchain became so complicated. Every time you turned, every other week, it was something else. This vertical, that vertical, bringing in more money. And then using the money that you brought in for the film vertical to pay for the art vertical. Or, I don't know, keep upkeep of the blockchain. I had no clue. It's mismanagement at the greatest level. And this is what makes this scam so bad, is because you're paying for all this stuff. Nobody's seeing receipts on why it's being paid for, where the money's actually going, and what's doing to benefit it, as well as having no liquidity. I think at the highest liquidity that I saw, like, and we're talking like a year and 6 months into the project, was like 10 grand, if that. Where's all the dang liquidity? And then the icing on top is when I got the message from Guys and Broods saying that depegged bridge. And I'm like, how does that happen? I thought the bridge was supposed to be backed by Circle. Or was it, Nik? Or did you have access to the bridge funds the whole time and you took them out? Why? To keep the blockchain running. That is the most scummy, move ever. You should have brought that up to the community before doing it. I mean, that's just business 101, right? Well, let's hear Nik in his own words talking about how USDC was backed by Circle.
Let's talk about USDC status. I'm very pleased to report that 2 of the 3 contracts have passed their review, completed by Circle. For the 3rd contract, Circle is actually testing a new review tool on the Vitruveo mainnet. And I'm told that the final contract is expected to be approved next week. So as soon as that's approved, we will announce the launch date, and they're planning an exciting launch program for USDC for the first users of Transporter that will be able to sort of bridge funds over from Polygon to Vitruveo, USDC or something like that. So that's real USDC backed up by the liquidity of Circle. When you move back in reverse, it shows up as USDC again on the other chain.
You hear that? Backed up by the liquidity of Circle. So, I mean, and in his own words, it's the fishiest thing that could ever happen. Now, when Nik, I'm not sure about this. Like, the council did a great job. They came in, they noticed this, and they questioned him about it. Now, did he tell them, oh, I used it to play blockchain funds and I'm repaying it as a way of, oh, I got my hand caught in the cookie jar? Or was he paying it before? I don't know the story, but to me, it seems like, oh, I got my hand caught in the cookie jar. Might as well repay it and put a story and a nice little bow on it in this community that's bought everything else I've been saying about how we're going to make millions. But this is where Nik just shows just incompetence at its finest. Everything he's done is crazy. When things weren't working out, he would use these, I call them these perfect scammer terms. We call them scammer terms here. Oh, we'll get VC funding if you guys stake. So everybody stakes for 5 years. Now he's got you right where he wants you, trapped. And then I'll come out with the film vertical, but guess what? You'll get a part of it in verse and part of the production if you do this. So now everybody's buying into these dreams, these hopes, these dreams, and this money's not being used for any of it. That is where the scam really gets bad. But where does this leave us? Okay? Nik, then, after all this, after running the blockchain dry, says, oh, we're going to make this a community project now, and we're going to elect a council. The council comes in with no access to the keys. Are they a council of anything? Really not. So he gives them no access to anything, and they notice all these irregularities. And do you know what Nik's plan was? Probably to go into and say, oh, the project fails. We elected a council. It just didn't work out. He wanted them to take the fall. Luckily, the council's made up of great men, and I will give each and every one of the people on the council the Greek heart, because you guys did something tough. You resigned. You didn't take the fall for Nik. You noticed what he was doing. You were talking with the Brood guys. You were getting the information. You got your own CTO to come in and look at everything. And that is where I give you guys credit. You have my mad respect, because I've had conversations with you. Some of you guys, you didn't even agree with me in the past. You call, but that's besides the point. We are here to move forward, and I give you guys credit. Now, they didn't take the fall. They resigned. Now all of a sudden, Nik wants to come back, and he wants $5 million more. That was the craziest AMA, and AI is the future. You could tell he put that AMA together in one day. And of course, never answers questions. That seems like a scammer tactic. But what the council did find out with their CTO is this is 13-year-old tech. It's an ETH fork. We all knew this. I mean, Bob Backlund's been saying this for years. This is a fork of ETH that could have been produced together in about 2 to 3 weeks. I'm giving him 3 weeks. Bob says it could do it in 24 to 48 hours. Okay. And it's so old, the code, that to upgrade the code right now to the newest tech would be just as hard as to just start over and make a whole new chain. And no devs want to come in and build on this chain. And now you're left with On the BSC side, I think 1,300 in liquidity before I made this video, and I don't know what the bridge has. I think it has 4,600 USDC. So you're looking at about $6,000. So all you guys who've thrown $1.5 million in booster sales, all the verticals that have added funds, I don't even know what those totals are, and it's irrelevant here because you guys know what those totals are, has left you with $6,000. $6,000. And Nik supposedly is paying with credit cards. If you believe that sob story, because that's his way of getting, oh, well, we need this to survive if you want to make your money. That is the grift, okay? If you want the Greeks' thoughts on this, this thing is virtually dead. And I think the community realizes that now. You could see a pattern with Nik of what's happened with mismanagement. Nik needs to answer questions, provide receipts for where all this money was going, because it's appalling that there's no liquidity. Okay? It's very appalling. Liquidity is the lifeblood. Bringing in devs to a blockchain, outside projects to a blockchain is what makes the money. Nik built everything from within, created this universe, and nobody was coming in. So everybody's staked. The whole point of a blockchain is to have your coin be the transactional thing. It's like becoming the currency that everybody needs to get everywhere. They might not even care about Vitruveo, but they care about that project that they want in. That's what builds volume. Volume is key in blockchains. Now, there's a lot of blockchains going forward, and it's very tough because I see an issue moving forward. And I know people are going to probably hate me for this. If you start a new blockchain, you can build one for about $20K. Bob Backlund has told me that. That is true. But the problems you have is liquidity still, because you have none of it. And if you give everybody their token allocations, their coin allocations, you just have a similar problem. You have all these coins backed by nothing. So it's like, you got to solve this. How do you raise money? And one thing that I want every single person watching this video to do is ask themselves, if they were not invested in this project right now, and they were looking at it from the outside with no money in this, would they touch this with a 10-foot pole? The honest answer would be no. And if the honest answer is no, then you can't, in good faith, say, I'm going to throw more money at this project and expect VCs, outside people, to throw money in this project. And that's the problem, is you got all these people throwing millions of dollars and you got no money backing it up, equals crash. This is like, to me, the worst type of scam. You know, it just, even if the money was going into the blockchain to pay for development costs, how mismanaged and poorly run was this thing by Nik Kalyani? And why was nothing brought up? Why was nothing done? Why was money used for one thing paying for another thing? You guys got to ask yourself this. Questions need to be asked, because Nik's work was of Fiverr quality. You know, it wasn't even that great of work. It was terrible, which really shows that he was in it for himself the whole time. And one thing I want the community to know is whenever you get into a project, it's normally player versus player. Okay? All these DeFi projects, player versus player. Who can get that liquidity first? Okay? It's true. So this hodl game, who holds the longest, ends up being the biggest loser. But you guys were in a game of player versus player against somebody taking all that money and moving it elsewhere. So you guys stood no chance. You were the product. And that is what sickens the Greek the most, is through all this, you guys were the product to Nik Kalyani. It's very, very, very sickening. He continues to pay mortgages on 2 homes. He owns residency in Dubai. You know, obviously, whether it's a success to him or not, he's gone into hiding right now, wants to give it back to the community. It's just sick in all levels. You know, I just don't know what to say. And we learned a hard lesson. The signs were there. Stop banning people. Stop not listening. When you see something, say something. Don't be in a Discord. As soon as you see banning happening for people speaking up, that's when you know you should sell. This is the Greek. Stay safe out there. I love each and every one of you.
So there's been $1.4 million paid so far for the blockchain, and all we have to show for it is a rebasing testnet.
For only $1.4 million, you have a rebasing testnet. Another way to say it. Only 1.4 million, not $5 million.
Vitruvio.